Okay, let's talk about human design in real life. And for this human design experiment video, we're talking about manifestors, the daily tasks that I think manifestors should be doing every single day in order to live in alignment. This is a part of my program, The Experiment, which is all about deconditioning and implementing and integrating your human design into your daily life. So if you are interested in doing that and learning how to live in alignment, actually live in alignment and not just learn about it, then go ahead and click the link in my description to join the program. So let's jump right in. Manifestors, the first thing that you should do every day is connect with your voice. Your defined throat is your hallmark sign as a manifestor. It's a motor center connected to the throat that makes you a manifestor. So it's really, really important that you connect with your throat, with your voice every single day. Whether that is through journaling, whether that is through, voice on your phone, even if you just talk out loud to yourself. I love to talk out loud to myself every single day. That's how I work through things. I will talk out loud to myself in my car, at the gas station. I will just talk to myself, right? So every single day, connecting to your voice. I have a video on the gates of the throat. I also have my gate series up. I will link the playlist. Looking at the gates that you have defined in your throat center and speaking from those gifts, right? So for example, gate 56 is the gate of storytelling. Tell your stories, right? Share your wisdom through stories of your experiences, right? So connecting with your voice through whatever gates that you have defined, especially your channels. Whatever channel you have that is powering your throat, you really want to focus on that gate as well, because you have the full energy that's going from the motor center to your throat. So that's really important. So yes, connecting with your throat, very important. Number 2. Connect with freedom. Freedom as a manifestor is really important. Manifestors do not like being told what to do. And what can happen a lot of the time, what I will see with my manifestor clients is that because freedom is such an intrinsic part of who you are, because you crave it and you need it in order to do the work that you're meant to do on this planet, sometimes you can get stuck in feeling like the world is so rigid around you. You can feel like people or things or situation are putting you into a box. So it's really, really important that you start to notice and recognize and appreciate the freedom that you do have, because what you focus on expands. If you see yourself as being put into a box, then that is what you are going to experience, right? But if you focus on the freedoms that you have, like, can you take, like if you have a 9-to-5 job, can you take your lunch at, the time that you want to take it every day, right? Do you have the freedom to choose the projects that you're working on, right? If you're a parent, do you have the freedom of, having the day to yourself while your kids are at school? Do you have the freedom to have your house arranged the way that you want it to, right? Recognizing every day the freedoms that you do have in your life, rather than focusing on all the reasons why you're not free, right? The things that are caging you in, essentially, right? Not to say that your kids are caging you in, but you know what I mean. Number 3, and this kind of goes back to what I mentioned before about connecting with your voice. My hair is doing something weird. But chanting or saying affirmations out loud. I find that this is a really powerful practice for manifestors, because so much of what you are here to do is speak things into existence. So if you don't have a chanting practice, if you don't have an affirmation practice, I think incorporating this on a daily basis is going to be really, really powerful for you. So you could use this as a way to connect with your voice, or you could use it in conjunction with, some other practice or modality to connect with your voice. But adding in either a chanting practice or an affirmation practice, or both, I think is really, really helpful for manifestors. Number 4, honor your cycle. Okay, manifestors have a cycle that they go through, and it's really important to know what part of the cycle that you are in, because it's going to tell you what your daily kind of actions are going to be. So first part of the cycle is when you first get an idea. You first get an urge, right? It's an urge. You're like, I want to do this thing. I want to bring this into reality, right? So this is when you start to inform. This is when you've gotten the idea. You're like, okay, I want to do this thing. Let's go, right? Then you get into the action phase. This is the creative flow phase of your cycle. So once you've gotten the idea, you've informed the people of what's happening. Some people have gotten on with you. The people that don't want to do it have kind of, gotten out of your way, which is great. Then you get into this creative flow phase. This is when you are bringing it into reality. This is when you're doing the things, you're taking action, you're creating. You're probably kind of isolating yourself a little bit because you get so wrapped up in that creative flow, right? And then after a while, the energy starts to leave. It starts to wane a little bit. This is the third part of the cycle. This is when you want to start delegating and kind of passing things, kind of handing things off, because at the next point of the cycle is when you're going to go into reflection. So you want to make sure that you have this thing, this project, whatever it is that you're working on, you have it to a place where you no longer need to be hands-on with it. So you want to start delegating, handing it off to people, the people that you got on when you informed them, handing it off to them so that you will then be free to go on to your next urge when it comes to you, right? So that's the third part of the cycle. And then the fourth part of the cycle is reflection. This is when you kind of turn inward. You reflect on the things that you learned, the things that worked, the things that didn't, so you can take that knowledge and bring it into your new cycle whenever that new urge comes. So that's the manifestor cycle. It's the urge, creative flow, starting to, delegate and hand things off, and then reflection. So knowing where you are in that cycle and honoring where you are in that cycle, right? So if you are in a reflection phase, don't force yourself to take action. Don't force yourself to be in a creative flow if you are in your reflection phase, right? If you're in an urge phase, don't force yourself to hand off projects. That's not the phase that you're in right now. You're in an urge phase. It's time for you to inform, right? It's time for you to start initiating and getting things moving, right? So know where you are in your cycle and honor where you are in your cycle. Yeah. Connect to your authority. For manifestors, you can have a few different authorities. So it's important that whatever your authority is, you are taking conscious time every day to connect with it. If you have an emotional authority, where are you in your emotional wave, right? Emotionally, where are you every single day on a scale from 1 to 10? If you have a splenic authority, right? Connecting with your intuition every single day. What is healthy for me to do in this moment? What feels right for me to do in this moment? This is present moment guidance. Yeah. If you are an ego manifestor, what is it that you want? This authority is very much driven by your desires. What is your desire? Get clear on that. Get clear on what you want. And then start to inform the universe of that, or start to inform your subconscious of that. Whatever kind of spiritual thing you subscribe to, begin to inform of your desires, right? I kind of touched on this with the cycle thing, but I think I want to say it again. Honor your urges, right? If you are in a urge part of your cycle, honor that. They're not always going to make sense. It's not always going to be logical. It's not always going to be clear as to where this is going. If you have an urge, there is a reason, and it's part of your purpose to follow those urges, to honor those urges, because they are coming to you, a manifestor, for a reason, right? So I made that a separate one, but it kind of goes along with the cycles part. So kind of put those two together, but I think it's really, really important that you are honoring your urges, especially if you are in an urge part of your cycle. Yeah. Connect with authority. Why did I write that twice? I literally, okay. Connect with your non-self, which for manifestors is anger, right? So where are you feeling angry? What parts of your life are making you the most angry? Why? Where is the anger coming from? Yeah, what is causing the anger in these parts of your life? And how can you start to shift that? How can you bring in more peace, right? How can you shift the things that are causing you to be angry? How can you look at them differently? How can you, not, I want to say cut them out of your life, but how can you shift yourself away from those things, right? So you can usher in more peace, okay? connecting with your non-self and taking this inventory every single day is going to keep this buildup from happening, right? Because all of a sudden you've allowed yourself to get angry and angry and angry and angry and angry, and you haven't addressed it, and then all of a sudden you just blow up, and it's like, right? So when you're constantly taking inventory of the things that are causing your anger and shifting yourself out of it, you kind of avoid that whole blow up situation, right? Trust. I think for manifestors, same with generators and manifesting generators, trust is really, really important. So every single day, cultivating this sense of, I trust that the things that I'm feeling called to do or what I'm meant to do, I trust that I can't do it wrong, right? This came to me for a reason. And the way that feels best for me to do this thing is the way that I am meant to do this thing. Cultivating that sense of safety, that sense of trust in your own abilities and your abilities as a manifester is really, really important, especially when you have an urge that does not make any sense and it's not logical at all. Being able to fall back on, I know this is what I'm meant to be doing. I know this is right for me. I trust, right? So that's really important. So just to recap, number 1, connect with your voice. Number 2, connect to your sense of freedom, right? Chanting or affirmations practice, or both. Honor your cycle, honor your urges, right? So knowing what part of the cycle that you're in and honoring whatever part of that cycle that you're in. Connecting with your authority, whatever your authority is. Connecting with your non-self and shifting, and cultivating trust. Those are the 7 things that I personally think every manifestor should be doing every single day. If you have not seen my Gate series, I will link the playlist here for you to check that out. I highly recommend looking up the gates of your throat to help you kind of connect with your voice every day. I will also link the alignment for manifestors video if you have not seen it, and I will see you in the next video.